USC beat UCLA 29-10 on Saturday to finish their regular season 9-3. Um, King Miller had another great game. Uh, and USC after being down 10-7 at the half, with Jacoby Lane and Makai Lemon not playing in the first half due to some type of team infraction, which I never even. I know Linker always said he was going to talk about after the game. I didn't even look to see what it was. I guess it ended up not mattering. But yeah, they took care of business against UCLA. I was kind of worried because I knew that, UCLA, they have a quarterback, and we've seen them play well, even though they're only 3-9 at the end of the day. But this is not a great USC team, and so whenever there's a rivalry game like this, uh, you have to watch out for it. But it just sucks. I don't know why USC always they've been a great second half team. I don't know why they can't just play well from the start. Why they have to wait until the second half. But yeah, at the end of the day, bro, like I said, last time I said, their season was so successful they beat UCLA, and they did it. Um, and uh, yeah, I mean, that's good. We move to next season, they'll have the number one recruiting class in the country coming in. And good, that's good, bro. You get 9-2. We'll see what happens in the bowl game. If they can get that 10th win, that's even better. Uh, I did want to say, because as I was watching the game in that first half, and then until USC pulled away, I was just thinking, bro, this guy Lincoln Riley really just does not get it. And it's going to sound weird now because they did win the game, but it's just, I really just, they've kind of righted the ship because, there was a time when he wasn't, when he first got here, he wasn't really recruiting California, and now Chad Bozeman came in to be the GM from Notre Dame. And they recruit in California again. What you got to recruit, the hottest spots in the country for college football, with the most talent, of course, California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Those are the top four. So you got to take care of home base. That's how you can't build a team. He was only recruiting the South because he's from the South. And see, that's the thing. I remember I was listening to Coach JB, Jason Brown. He said something once. He said, this was just recently, since during the Lincoln Riley era. He said at USC, he said you need a West Coast guy to coach USC. And I looked into it, and if you look at it, going back, John McKay, he played college football at Oregon. Then when his playing career was over at Oregon, he immediately became an assistant there. He was an assistant at Oregon from 1950 to 1958. Then he goes to USC as an assistant in 59, and then he becomes the head coach. He's the head coach from 1960 to 1975. So once again, somebody with a West Coast background who understands the terrain, understands how to recruit here, and understands it's just a certain feeling and a certain vibe, and it's different. Like I remember, like I mentioned how in the South, they're so arrogant when it comes to college football. I was listening to Josh Pate, I think it was. It might have been Middlecoff. I think it was Josh Pate. Not John Middlecoff. I think it was Josh Pate, and he was talking to Colin Cowherd, and he said he was saying that he remembers when USC came to. He's from the South, I think he said. He said he remembers when USC came to and whipped Auburn 30-0, and Matt Lyon's first college start. And I was thinking he didn't really understand the West Coast thing, because as a young guy, probably around that time. USC, he probably wasn't used to it. He didn't know the USC of the John Robinson days, let alone the John McKay days. So when he saw that, he's thinking, well, there's no way that they have the type of culture. They can come in here and beat us, and USC beat them 30-0. And so I think that, someone like Lincoln Riley, who's from Texas, before he came to USC, he spent his whole life in the South, growing up, going to school, playing, coaching, everything. From Texas to that, the Carolina school he coached at. It wasn't North Carolina, it was a smaller school. And then he goes to Oklahoma, becomes the OC there, and then becomes the head coach. And I think that, so that's what he knows. He doesn't really understand the West Coast when it comes to football. John Robinson, he went to Sarah High School in San Mateo. I know Barry. I know that Tom Brady went to. We have a Sarah High School out here in L.A. In Gardena. I know Tom Brady went to Sarah, um, up north. In that Bay Area type of where Brady is from. And it might have been the same one, and maybe Barry Bonds too. Don't quote me on that. And then John Robinson, he went to college at Oregon. And Pete Carroll, he's a complete West Coast guy all the way. He was born in San Francisco and went to school there. Did all of his schooling there. So, um, yeah, it's just different, you know. And but yeah, hopefully he's figuring it out. But if not, that's something to consider. Is what Coach JB said, that you need a West Coast. If you look at the three USC dynasties, it's all been from guys who had a West Coast background, you know. And that means that they get, just like guys out here, we get the terrain. We remember guys like me, guys who grew up here. I could talk football, basketball even more so. But when you start talking about out here, it's Mater Dei, it's St. John Bosco, it's Loyola High School, it's Sarah. Those are the major Long Beach Poly. Historic. Long Beach Poly has had more guys in the NFL, I think, than anybody. And that's the terrain out here. And then you go and you think about Crenshaw and Dorsey, all those schools. They put guys in the D1, USC, UCLA, send guys to the league. You know, and same thing in basketball. It's Fairfax. There's Westchester, Taft, Cleveland High School. Crossroads. And if you come here from another place and you don't know that, you know what you're doing. You need to. But if you grow up here and you're from here, you're from the West Coast, and you know how the recruiting goes, you know how that stuff goes. It gives you an advantage, I think. Uh, and if you're not from here, you don't really understand. It could be a little rough for you. Now, I was going to say one other thing about this quarterback situation, because I don't know what Jade Miles was going to do. He didn't say, he didn't really. He said, they asked him, and he just said, "Well, I'm focused on this, on UCLA." But I don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to go to the NFL or if he's going to come back. But I do think that Husan Longstreet, who used his red shirt this year, the freshman, he gives USC a higher ceiling. And if you look at their schedule next year, starts with Fresno State at the Coliseum, okay. But then they're at Indiana. Indiana's undefeated right now this year, going into the Big Ten championship game, best season they've ever had. At Penn State next year, we'll see how Penn State bounces back, whoever their next coach is. At Rutgers, okay. At UCLA, okay. Maryland at home. But then there's Ohio State and Michigan back-to-back weeks at the Coliseum. I mean, come on, man. USC hasn't played Ohio State yet since they've been in the Big Ten. Then it's Washington. Then it's at Wisconsin, and they've end the season against Notre Dame. I don't know what it says to be determined about where that game is going to be. So if you're going to be facing, Ohio State, Oregon, and Notre Dame, and Indiana, and Penn State all on the same schedule, and you're losing Mekhi Lemon, maybe Jacoby Lane too, you need a quarterback who can do more than just what's on the play sheet. You need a quarterback who's dynamic, who can make things happen. And even though he's still young, I think he would probably give us a better chance to be competitive against such a tough schedule. So that's just my 2 cents. If hopefully if Alba decides to come back, hopefully that doesn't mean Longstreet transfers, because like I said, he uses his red shirt. So if Alba comes back and plays his senior season, then when he leaves, Longstreet would just be a red shirt sophomore, and he'll be ready to really rock and roll then. So yeah, I mean. I guess it's a good problem to have because either way it goes, either you're going to bring back your senior quarterback or you're going to have this young phenom, kid come in and take over. Like I said, in my opinion, yeah, of course, Miles will be in the senior, but I think with what the roster might look like next year, that it might be in USC's best interest to hand the reins over to the young kid, Longstreet, and see what he can do. And then if it doesn't go well, you can say, well, we had a first year quarterback playing. It gives you an excuse if they go 6-6 or something like that.